Hello, and welcome to another segment of Let's Talk Real Estate. You've saved for the down payment, you've found a perfect house, but are you ready for the thousands of dollars in hidden closing costs that can kill a deal at the last second? It's a huge barrier for so many buyers. But what if there was a way to have the seller pay for them? It's not a secret trick, it's a powerful financial tool called the Seller Concession, and understanding it is a game changer. For everyone watching, our analysis shows it all boils down to three key things.
That's right, Mark, and it's a tool both buyers and sellers need to master. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. My name is Kreick, and along with my business partner, Mark Meras, we are co-founders of Paragon Realty Advisors located in Uptown Dallas. Now, as it relates to buyers, concessions are your single best tool to lower the huge amount of cash you need at closing. But be careful. If you finance it by raising the home's price, you're trading a short-term cash problem for a long-term debt problem. Turning to sellers. In a slower market or when interest rates are high, offering a concession is often smarter and faster than a big price cut. It attracts more buyers who are tight on cash and can help you close the deal without delay. And finally, the golden rule. This isn't the Wild West. Your lender sets strict, non-negotiable limits on how much a seller can contribute. And it all depends on your loan type and down payment. You absolutely must know these rules before you ever start negotiating.
And those rules are critical, but it's not just important to understand why these concessions are so important right now. It all comes down to market dynamics. They become essential in two key situations. The first is a buyer's market. When there are more homes for sale than people looking to buy, sellers have to compete. Offering to pay a buyer's closing costs is a powerful way to make their house stand out from the one next door. Data from Redfin recently showed that nearly 45% of home sales included seller concessions, a clear sign of a market shifting in favor of buyers. The second and most relevant driver today is high interest rates. When rates are high, monthly payments skyrocket and buyers lose purchasing power. A mistake I often see, buyers focusing only on the price. But concessions, especially a tool called an interest rate buy down, directly attack that affordability problem and can keep a deal from falling apart.
That affordability problem is key, so let's get specific on what a concession can actually pay for. It's far more than just a simple discount. The most common use is to cover the buyer's closing costs, which typically run anywhere from 2 to 6% of the purchase price. Think of all those extra expenses, lender fees, appraisal fees, title insurance, the list goes on. But it gets more strategic. Let's say the home inspection reveals the furnace is 20 years old. Instead of the seller replacing it, they can offer you a repair credit. This is often cleaner and faster because you get the cash at closing and can oversee the work to your own standards. In my experience, the most creative deals use concessions to solve unique problems. A seller can pay for an interest rate buy down to lower your monthly payment for the first few years. They can buy you a 1-year home warranty for peace of mind. They can even leave behind personal property like furniture or appliances. The research for this video even found one documented case involving 23 chickens. Okay, probably no chickens for most of us, but the point is, it's a highly flexible negotiation tool.
And that flexibility is incredible. But as you mentioned earlier, Kyle, you can't just ask for a 20% concession. Lenders put strict caps on them, and the reason why is to prevent home prices from being artificially inflated, which could create a housing bubble. The limit depends entirely on your loan. Let's break them down. For conventional loans, it's a sliding scale. If you put down less than 10%, the seller can contribute a maximum of 3% of your sales price. If your down payment is between 10 and 25%, that limit jumps to 6%. For government-backed loans like FHA and USDA, it's a generous flat 6% limit, no matter the down payment. But the real powerhouse is a VA loan. The rules here are more complex, but essentially a seller can pay for all of your veterans' standard closing costs, plus an additional 4% for other things like paying down debt to help them qualify. The total effective contribution on a VA loan can be absolutely huge. So the first step is always knowing the loan type and its specific limits. And here's a shameless plug. For a detailed video on the most common loan types, see our video titled 7 Types of Mortgage Loans Every North Texas Homebuyer Should Know for more information.
And once you know your limits, you have to tackle the big risk everyone needs to realize. How does this actually work on the contract? The most common method is that the purchase price is inflated to cover the concession. This is the part everyone needs to understand. Imagine a home is worth $500,000. The buyer needs $15,000 concession. The contract is written for a sales price of $515,000 with a clause giving a $15,000 credit back to the buyer at closing. The seller still nets their desired $500,000, and the buyer has effectively financed their closing costs into the loan. It solves their immediate cash problem. But here's the catch: the appraisal. The house must appraise for the higher inflated price, in this case $515,000. If the appraiser comes back and says it's only worth $500,000, the lender will not approve the loan for that higher amount. The deal is now in jeopardy, and you're left scrambling to cover that gap, renegotiate, or walk away. You're trading lower upfront cash for significant appraisal risk and a higher loan balance with more interest paid over time.
That appraisal risk is huge, but looking at the bigger picture, concessions can also act as a crystal ball for the housing market. Think about it. A price reduction is a public announcement. It's a permanent change that shows up in all the public data, signaling the market is cooling. A concession, however, is a private price correction. The official sale price remains high for the record, but the seller quietly nets less. When the analysis shows a sudden spike in the number of homes selling with concessions, it's a powerful leading indicator that the market is softening. It's the market's secret signal that the power is shifting from sellers to buyers, often before you see those official prices start to drop.
That's a powerful way to read the market, and if we boil all this down, it leads to the single most important decision for buyers and sellers. For a seller, you have to decide if you value a faster sale more than a slightly higher net profit. In a tough market, the answer is often yes. For a buyer, the choice is even more fundamental. A concession saves you thousands of dollars in cash today, but an equivalent price reduction saves you tens of thousands in interest payments over 30 years. The final question you have to ask yourself is, are you using a concession to solve a short-term cash problem, or are you creating a long-term debt problem? The right answer depends entirely on your personal financial situation.
Answering that critical question is where professional guidance makes all the difference. Navigating these concessions, knowing when to ask, how much to offer, and how to protect yourself from the critical appraisal risk is complex. Our analysis shows that a well-negotiated concession can save a buyer thousands up front, and for sellers it can mean a difference between a quick sale and months of waiting. If you're in a market and want to ensure you're using every strategic tool available, visit us at www.paragondfw.com. We specialize in structuring these deals to your advantage. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll have access to all current and future content. And finally, make sure you leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. All the best.